Now we're going to switch gears a little bit. During these proceedings and the lawsuits I filed and ones I filed for my mother and also other people, something horrendous happened in Watkins Glen. It was not good, I will tell you that. And we're going. Okay. A few years ago, quite a few years, it was back in October of '92. A father which had arrest for in Schuyler County for non-payment of child support. First off, he claimed the child wasn't his. Number two, he was a trucker. When deputies offered to get him help, Miller said no one could help him and they didn't want to go back to jail. He stated, he told us it was for a child support. He said the child wasn't his. I will bet you anything. He was never given a paternity test or an opportunity to get one. Or it would have probably been stated that by a paternity test he was determined to be the father. They said he left a letter, but they never released the content. Of course, cover up. Here's a guy that's being deprived, and I raised this in one of the suits. Miller's suit violated. Watkins Glen murderer named in lawsuit over Troy Family Court. I was using that as an example. Here's a guy that kills several people in a support collection unit. He got tired and fed up. He didn't want to go back to jail. He lived in Ohio. They brought him back again. I'll tell you right now, he was denied probably his right to a public trial. He was denied his right to a jury trial. Did the court order even comply with the law? I would probably guess not, but I don't have to see it. Was he denied a right to have a paternity test? See, once they get you into the courtroom and they issue that court order, in New York State you cannot raise that issue again. In Ohio you can raise the issue again. And it's retroactive back to the date that the court order went into effect if they find out that the father is not the father. And I will also state, this is a good case to bring it up on. Watch the 30% or more of the fathers tested for paternity are not the father. I had one father in here, he was number 5 on the list in the paternity pursuit. I don't know if he was declared the father or not, never heard. Watch the Maury Povich show. They're up there. Look at the eyes. Look at the mouth. Look at the forehead. Look at the hair. You are not the father. They're not it. That is the biggest, talk about fraud, is a father having to pay child support for a child that isn't even his. Before any mother is able to receive child support and a father is ordered to pay it, New York State needs to make a law that requires that every father is entitled to a paternity test and order. What they do when fathers, no, make it mandatory, because what they do when fathers raise the issue of paternity, the mothers start telling the kids, your father doesn't think you're his. And they start alienating the children from the father, making a big deal out of it. The attorneys make them feel about this big. How dare he question whether he's the father of the child? And I'm not saying in all cases, but the statistics have shown 30% or more are not the father. And you don't know how many others are not fathers. You know, and yet they're being forced to pay child support. New York needs to pass a law to get child support or to continue getting child support. There needs to be a paternity test. It's not up to the option of the father. It's not up to the option of the mother. And it shouldn't be able to be waived by either party. It's mandatory. They shall have a paternity test of the child with the father. That way they can't blame the father, make them feel like 2 cents. They can't use the children against them, which they love doing. and keep frustrating the father to find out whether it's his child or not. And sometimes they don't find out until years later that the mother had an affair. So New York has to do it. Now, you got this guy, I forget how many people he killed, but I think it was something like 4 state workers he killed, support collection workers. I'll tell you, if you've ever dealt with the support collection unit, they're miserable, but they don't deserve this. But if you listen to Secretary of State Kerry, a Democrat, he stated in another case, which everybody knows about, and Kerry argued that the attacks on the newspaper resulted from a sort of particularized focus and perhaps even a legitimacy in terms of, not a legitimacy, but a rationale that you could attach yourself to somehow and say, okay, they're really angry because of this or that. This is when the Muslims, the radical Islam Muslims, attacked Charlie Hebdo, the newspaper in Paris. He is making an excuse. Would he make an excuse for this guy? He's been denied all his rights. I don't think so. There is no excuse for that. But he's one guy that just got fed up and couldn't take it anymore. And there are a lot of them out there.